Chronic illness has a tax. It costs us time, energy, and connection. Let's talk about the illness tax. As we go into this topic, one of the things that's coming off the top of my head is I'm thinking about a colleague of mine told me one day, like, oh, Virginia, you paying the ADHD tax? I said, what? Again, I'm not a big social media person. She said, you pay the ADHD tax? And I said, what is that? And this person described the ADHD tax as something that I don't know what generation this person is in, Generation Alpha or Beta. I don't know the names of the generations. I can't keep up with all of that. But this person essentially described it's something that you do to pay money and pay extra money because you have ADHD. And so the way this person described it is like, okay, well, would you buy a whole pineapple or would you buy pineapple already cut up? And I said, I would buy the pineapple already cut up, even though I know how to cut a pineapple. So this person said, well, you pay the ADHD tax because with ADHD, we've become so busy in our minds and, it takes up so much time and energy that we don't actually end up eating the pineapple. So we end up throwing away the pineapple. So it actually costs us more to buy a whole pineapple versus to buy it already cut up. I said, okay, well, I'm neurodivergent. I can follow that logic. The same thing happens with chronic illness. And so one of the things that I've learned in this process of recently being diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder is you have to see a lot of providers. And so I went from having like maybe three providers to I don't even know how many at this point. Like I see a cardiologist now, I see a GI provider, I see goodness, what do you call those people? A neurologist. I just see so many more providers than I ever used to see. And so, like, even this morning, I'm thinking about I got up, I had a test that I had to go take this morning for my providers to be able to try to rule out, like, okay, what is the next autoimmune disorder? Or, I'm thinking I have two more tests and scans just within the next couple of weeks. All those appointments, all those tests require energy. And so I was not able to do the things that I needed to do for myself this morning, like drink my liter of water, take my electrolytes, take my supplements, because the test that I went to this morning required that I not eat or drink anything for at least 6 hours. So in addition to that, I had all that stuff going on, and then I still saw clients today. So taking care of your health, particularly with the autoimmune disorder, adds so many more layers just in terms of time and energy and effort, and then it throws you off your routine. And when you're not on your routine, you don't have as many spoons as you would have had if you would have followed everything like you normally would have done so. And so, what I mean by spoons, if you are familiar with the spoon theory, please, you can definitely fill that in of like, oh, okay, that's what that's talking about. If you don't know anything about the spoon theory, you can actually take a look in my video in the description box below. It will talk about the spoon theory so that you're kind of caught up to speed of like, oh, that's a different way of thinking about things. So my water that I take in the morning, my electrolytes that I take, eating something in the morning, it helps give me a boost. It helps give me some energy that I need and nutrients to make it throughout my day. Because I did not have that this morning, I'm just operating at lower energy. That's just where I'm at. I'm just gonna be honest. So I paid the illness tax today. And the way that I paid the illness tax today was I went to like my favorite cafe, I ordered food from them, and then I also ordered, they have these like casserole dishes that you can just take home. You can bake and take home. And I'm like, yes, please and thank you. I will pay the convenience tax, the illness tax on that. With that being said, we're not always in a position where we can fork out extra money. That's not sustainable and it's definitely not feasible. And so, how do you manage this additional tax? Specifically, if you're new to this, like me, you're new to the chronic illness, autoimmune disorder club. How do you manage that with a dramatic demand on your time, your energy, and your connections? And so, one of the ways that I think would be really helpful to do that is to kind of spread around the burden, that tax burden around. How do we do that? By just resourcing folks that are within our community. And so there are folks that are in my community where there are times where I will make something like, if you have ever made soup or if you've ever made pancit or anything like that, I don't know how to make a little bit. And whenever I make it, there's always a ton of it. And so it's like, okay, I've got plenty for myself and for my family. Here it to another family that, also has somebody who has chronic illness or an autoimmune disorder. The person that I tend to hand over some of my extra stuff to is my mom, and my parents, because they're at places where sometimes they're paying that tax as well. So I want to be able to offload some of that, which helps my family. We have food, they have food, we're all good. And so we could find ways of being able to take care of each other. That's really helpful. Sometimes folks don't necessarily have a friend or family member that they can easily share that tax burden with. And so one of the ways that I recommend doing that is to take a look at who's within your inner circle. Maybe it's not a friend, maybe it's not a family member. Maybe you're taking a look at your kids. As I take a look at my kids, there are certain meals throughout the week where it is their responsibility to cook. One of those times is Friday evenings. So Friday evenings at our house is a sandwich day. It's a quick dinner day. So sometimes what I'll do is if I'm cooking, I will cook some sort of seafood. I'm from Louisiana. We have especially during Lent, we have a tradition of having seafood on Fridays. So what I will do is I will literally go ahead on and buy the things that they need. I usually put it in an Instacart. Again, paying the illness tax. I'll put it in an Instacart, but I know that I usually don't have the energy or effort. So what I will do is I will actually get materials and things that they know how to cook. And so my kids know how to cook pizza. So I'll buy, the pizza dough that's already done, buy some marinara sauce, the cheese, all the toppings that they normally do. And then they have all that stuff. I go pick them up from school, swing by the grocery store, pick up my pickup order, come home, let them know, hey, this is the option for dinner. You can do this, peanut butter and jelly, make a vegetable go with that, and then that's dinner. That is dinner. Sometimes on Fridays, what I'll do when I have a little bit more energy, and again, it depends upon where I'm at and my energy meter. If I am at peak energy, I'm usually more able to do this. We have a farmer's market that's not very far from us. And so what I'll do is I'll take 20 bucks, I'll hand it to each of my kids, and I'll say, okay, so your job is to go into the farmer's market, spend $20, make dinner for four or make lunch for four, whatever it is. That's their challenge. And whatever money they have left over, they get to keep it. So I'm teaching my kids automatic budgeting skills. I'm teaching them to know like what ingredients. And so mommy's not there making sure that you're doing all the things. They know what ingredients goes with what thing. They know a handful of things that they can make. They know what's cheaper, what's not cheaper. They've already learned that making beans and rice is a lot cheaper than putting together some sort of fancy like stuffed peppers or what have you. It's a lot easier and it's faster for them. So they're already picking up getting life skills that's appropriate for their age. And the farmers market that we go to, we literally have been going there since before I was even pregnant with them. So they've been shopping at this little farmers market their entire lives, and they love the independence of being able to go in there to get all their things, and then to come back home, tell me about the deals that they got, and oh, I got this deal and I got that deal, and then like having some extra money that's their money they can choose to spend, or they can choose to save it, or find a combination of both. Some money for saving, some money for spending. So these are some options that you have available for yourself. If you all of a sudden are finding yourself with this tax burden, share the burden, share the responsibility. So it's not sitting all on your nervous system. I do recognize that a lot of folks out there who are in this boat are usually those people who are the fix it, do it all type folks. And so the thought of being able to share responsibility, that sounds nice. It doesn't feel so good because it can kind of go against our ego, go against our identities and how we show up in the world. And so that I will be really honest and say that that is not fun. That is not fun. And if you don't find a way of doing that, you will get to a place where your body will shut completely down and you won't be able to do a thing. And you're going to have people doing every single little piece of thing for you. I got there. I got there. I was not able to do the things that I needed to do to take care of myself. That brought a little bit of a stutter on there for me because that's not something that I want. That's not something that I like, especially as a Black woman. That's not a place that I ever want to be or to put myself in. And so I want to be able to teach my kids how to be independent, how to be able to have nutritious meals, also how to be able to help somebody else. How can we be supportive of your grandparents? These are things that are good teaching tools for your kids, but also for your own nervous system. Other ways that I try to beat the illness tax is I try to beat that with being able to notice what's going to work best during what time in my life. And so, again, it depends upon where I'm at in terms of that energy meter. If I'm in a place of maintenance, the things that I'm going to do there that are helpful for me are going to be different than if I'm in moderate distress or if I'm in crisis mode. If I'm in crisis mode, I usually need a lot of help. I usually need a lot of care. And so, this is where sometimes the spoon theory has some limitations. Some people will say, like, okay, this would be an 8 spoon day in terms of this is a time where I'm able to be most functional. This might be a 5 spoon day where I have less functionability, less energy, less focus. But then a crisis day might be like a 2 or 3 spoon day. And so, however that works for you, maintenance, moderate distress, crisis mode, whatever language works for you, it really doesn't matter to me. The piece is being able to know what's going on in your nervous system. What do you actually need? And what are the adjustments that you need to make based upon your body's needs and based upon your family's needs? So, like I said, this today, I've already got dinner ready and prepared. I did not make it. My kids did not make it. I paid somebody. But this Friday coming up, I don't, not 100% sure what I'm doing, whether it's pizza or sandwiches or what have you. But whatever it is, I'm going to make sure that it's an easy dinner day, that I'm not trying to figure out how to invent things from scratch. My kids are not trying to figure that out. We all have something that's low maintenance and delicious. These are skills that I also want them to have. Another way that I start to kind of beat the illness tax is by planning ahead with our meals. The number one thing that I tend to hear clients complain about or feel overburdened by, besides their romantic relationships, is the awful question of what are we having for dinner today? That one question provides so much stress, takes so much bandwidth from so many folks. And so, also to beat some of the illness tax is by having meals that are already pre-prepared. I'm not meaning Martha Stewarting it and like having everything all nice and neat and done in a jiffy. Not necessarily. If you can do that, that's great. But that sounds like a maintenance coping plan kind of thing. What I'm talking about is a plan that usually works regardless if I'm in maintenance, moderate distress, or I'm in crisis mode. And so on Monday, we typically have some sort of means and rice. Again, I'm from New Orleans. That's just part of what we do. So my kids don't always want red beans. I love a good red bean. I love pretty much any bean out there. My kids are not red bean folks. So I will mix it up. I'll do like a pinto bean, a black bean, doing tostadas, doing some burritos, doing like a burrito bowl with like black beans, like whatever it is. We're usually having some sort of beans and rice thing on Mondays. Another thing that we do, like I said, is something quick, sandwiches, pizza, something super quick and easy that they usually make on Fridays. On Saturdays, usually they've gone to the farmer's market again with the $20. Come on now, $20 to feed 4 people. Please and thank you all the time. Okay. So on Saturdays, that usually is their time to go ahead on and buy something from the farmer's market. So one kid or another is making usually lunch. And then Saturday evening, what I do is I get my kids to, we don't eat eggs in our household. We actually will cook tofu and we'll do tofu eggs. So one of them will make the tofu eggs for dinner or make some sort of breakfast item, if it's French toast, some old-fashioned oats. It doesn't really matter to me, but they'll make some sort of a breakfast item. And then whatever that breakfast item is, I want that breakfast item to be able to last us a good solid 5 days in terms of breakfast, at least for my 2 kids. Because in the morning, getting ready for school, it is absolutely, it's draining for me. So they usually will do tofu eggs with rice. They'll make that on Saturday for dinner. We'll all eat that for dinner together. So breakfast for dinner, that makes Saturday night really easy. So Sunday morning is really easy in terms of breakfast. Sunday afternoon, I tend to cook something. And then Sunday evening tends to be either some sort of leftovers from throughout the week, and then my kids pack their lunch usually on Sunday evening, and usually it's whatever we have for lunch on Sundays. So by the time we get to Monday, the breakfast is already done. They literally have plates already made. So they just grab their plate, pop that thing in the microwave, they're good to go. I am more flexible in terms of what works best for me. So I'm one that I eat predominantly plant-based, and so I have these plant-based burgers that I just absolutely love. They're delicious. They don't have a lot of the weird things in them or weird smells. I can read all the ingredients and know what they are. And so whenever they go on sale, which is usually about once a month, I will go ahead and buy a whole bunch of them. And then I'll take them home probably in like usually in a day where I'm cooking those. I'm usually in either moderate distress or I'm in maintenance mode. This is not something I do in crisis. If I'm in crisis, I will Instacart those things, ask my husband to put them in the freezer. They're sitting there in the freezer from when I'm feeling better that I can actually cook them. When I'm feeling better, I will take those burgers out, pull out my cast iron skillet. I'll fry those burgers in the cast iron skillet, which is great for me. It adds a little bit of crisp. It adds, just it's just delicious. Almost anything you make in the cast iron skillet tastes wonderful. So I bought something that was BOGO. It is cheaper. It is cheaper. Um, I bought it on BOGO. I know it's going to be delicious. I know it's going to be restaurant quality because I cooked it in my cast iron skillet. So I'm gonna cook those in my cast iron skillet, get a little baggie, put it inside the baggie, and then I stick that sucker back in the freezer. And so in the mornings when I need something quick, sometimes I will pop a potato in the oven, in the microwave, or I will grab one of those little burgers, make myself a quick sandwich in the morning. So I have something that I can eat that's not just cereal or a Pop-Tart. And no shade on those who do that. Those are just things that don't work well for my body. I usually need something warm to start my day off. And I usually need something that has high protein and low sugar. So that's usually what I'm working with and what I'm moving towards first thing in the morning. Again, these tips will help you in terms of being fast, easy, nutritious, but also cost effective, as my husband loves to say. Okay. So these are just some tips that I have available for y'all to be able to avoid or at least reduce your illness tax burden. My name is Virginia. I'm a licensed mental health therapist. Please take good care of yourself and each other. Thank you so much for this time with me. Bye.